Let me guess, you feel like your life hasn't really started yet. Not really. It feels like you're in a waiting room, watching other people get called in, while you're just sitting there, waiting for your name to be called. And you're waiting because you have to make a choice, a big one. And until you make the one single correct decision, you won't allow yourself to truly begin. It's a strange kind of self-imposed prison, isn't it? This idea that your entire future is a fragile thing, held in your hands, and if you make one wrong move, you'll drop it and it will shatter into a million pieces. And that fear is a physical thing. It's not just in your head, it's a tightness in your chest, a low hum of anxiety that lives behind your eyes. It makes even small, unrelated choices feel huge. What to have for dinner feels like a monumental task because your decision-making ability is just gone. It's all being used up by this one giant looming question mark. You picture that future disappointed version of yourself looking back at this moment with so much regret, and you feel their shame as if it's already happened. So you just stand there. You don't move, because doing nothing feels safer than taking a step in the wrong direction. The whole world seems to be moving forward. You see people on their paths. They look so sure, so certain. They're getting the job, moving to the city, committing to the person. They post about it. It looks so clean, so linear. And you're just stuck at the starting line, terrified that you're about to ruin everything before you've even begun. This pressure to get it right the first time is immense. It's like we believe our lives are a test, and this one big decision is the final exam. And if we fail, there are no retakes. We're just left with the consequences. So we try to study for it. We try to find the answer key, thinking if we just do enough research, the perfect choice will reveal itself, like a mathematical proof. I went through this a while ago. I had a choice to make, and it felt like the most important choice of my life. It felt like my whole future was balancing on this one single point, and I was determined to get it right. So I did what anyone would do. I started gathering information. First, I made lists. I made a pro and con list on a legal pad, the old-fashioned way. The con list got really long for both options, and it just looked like a mess of my own anxieties written down on paper. So I started a new, cleaner one in a spreadsheet, because spreadsheets feel official and logical. I added columns. I was trying to turn a human decision into a math problem. I tried to assign a numerical value to my own feelings, like potential for happiness on a scale of 1 to 10. The absurdity of it. How do you give a number to a feeling? But it felt like I was in control. It felt like if I just organized my thoughts enough, a clear winner would emerge from the data. But the spreadsheet didn't give me an answer. It just stared back at me, a grid of my own confusion. It gave me more data to be anxious about. So I started asking people. I called my most practical friend, the one who always makes sensible choices. He gave me very sensible advice, laid out a 5-year plan for each option, talking about retirement and property ladders. It sounded so smart, but it felt so cold, so disconnected from the actual life I would have to live day in and day out. Then I called my most adventurous friend, hoping for a different perspective. She told me to just follow my gut, to take the leap. That regret was for people who played it safe. The problem was, my gut was completely silent. It was just a knot of anxiety. There was no clear voice, just a muffled sense of dread. I started asking my family, and their advice was tangled up in their own hopes and fears for me. I could feel their love, but it just added more weight, more pressure not to disappoint them. Soon I had all this conflicting advice swirling in my head. Every opinion I collected just made the water murkier. It was like I was drowning in other people's perspectives, and I couldn't even remember what my own felt like. The nights were the worst. That's when the real research would begin. I'd be lying in bed, unable to sleep, just scrolling, reading articles, 10 signs you're on the right career path, how to know if you should move to a new city. I'd fall down these rabbit holes, watching videos about people who had made similar choices. Some of them were so happy, they said it was the best decision they ever made, and I'd feel this spark of hope. I'd think, okay, this is a sign. But then the algorithm would serve me the opposite. a video of someone full of regret, someone who would give anything to go back and choose differently, and the fear would just swallow me whole again. The emotional whiplash was exhausting. After weeks, maybe months of this, I wasn't closer to a decision. I was further away than when I started. All the information had just become noise, a loud, buzzing static in my head. I was exhausted. I remember sitting at my desk one night. The only light was from the laptop screen, showing the spreadsheet and the lists and the dozens of open browser tabs. My body felt heavy, and I just felt nothing. I was so overwhelmed with information and emotion that my brain had just pulled the emergency brake. I had become completely numb. The paralysis was total. I had tried so hard to find the perfect answer that I had lost the ability to want anything at all. And in that moment of complete exhaustion, with a sense of quiet defeat, I just gave up. I closed the laptop, not with a slam, but with a slow, tired sigh. I put the lists away in a drawer. I decided I just wasn't going to think about it for a day. I couldn't. It was too heavy. The next morning, I was just sitting there drinking a coffee, looking out the window, not trying to solve anything. And for the first time in a long time, my mind was quiet. The static was gone. And into that silence, a new thought, a very quiet one, drifted in. What if there is no right choice? What if the reason I can't find it is because it doesn't exist? This whole time I had been imagining my life like a series of locked doors. If I chose one door, all the others would slam shut and lock behind me. Forever. It was so final, so permanent. But what if that's not how it works? What if it's not a hallway of doors? What if it's an open field? What if it's just a path? You choose a direction and you start walking, and you just see where it goes. You pay attention to how it feels, not just on the first day, but on the 100th. And if it starts to feel wrong, if the ground gets too rocky or the path disappears, you're allowed to stop. You're allowed to turn around. You're allowed to find a different trail. The choice isn't the final destination. It's just the first step. That thought didn't give me an answer, but it gave me something better. It gave me air. It took the crushing weight of forever off the decision. It meant I didn't have to predict the future perfectly. I just had to trust myself to be able to handle the future, whatever it looked like. I started thinking about all the smaller wrong choices I'd made in my life. I took a job once that I ended up hating. I used to see that as a wasted year, but I remember the feeling of dread every Sunday night, the physical sickness in my stomach, the way my body felt sitting at that desk. That job taught me, in a way nothing else could, exactly what I didn't want. It wasn't a waste, it was research. It was my body giving me critical information for the future. I thought about a friendship I invested in that fell apart. It hurt, but it taught me something about my own boundaries. None of these were dead ends. They were detours. They were lessons. They were just part of the path. The fear of choosing the wrong life assumes that you are a passive character in your own story, that you make one choice and then you're just stuck on a train track, unable to move. But that's not true. You are walking the path. You are the one taking the steps. You can speed up. You can slow down. You can rest. You can change your mind. It's not about finding the one perfect path. It's about learning to trust your ability to navigate whichever path you're on. The real skill isn't making the perfect choice. It's learning how to be okay when a choice you made turns out to be imperfect. It's about being kind to yourself when you realize you need to change course. That fear, that paralysis, it's born from a lack of trust in yourself. We're so scared we'll make a mistake that we forget we are resilient enough to handle a mistake. You are. You've handled every single thing in your life so far. You're still here. You can handle this too. I believe in you. Now, believe in yourself.